All right, what's up, my network marketing friends? Todd Falcone here. Welcome back to another episode. This is a little bit different episode. Most of the time that you see me, I'm staring at the camera and just giving you content and tips and strategies. And, occasionally I'll get somebody on here with me and just have a chat and do a little interview and love to talk with influencers in our community. And I had a chance to meet the woman that's on with me today, Michelle Schaffer, just a few months ago, who invited me to speak at one of her Kingdom events, Kim 10 events down in Los Angeles. She is a mother of three, an incredible entrepreneur. She is the founder of the Sold Out podcast, which I think is Sold Out Entrepreneur podcast. And it's SOULED, which is so cool. Not sold out, but sold out. And what I love about Michelle is her whole focus is around the kingdom of God. So I'm just excited to have a conversation with you today, Michelle. And honestly, we've had some chats, but we really haven't spent that much time together. So yeah, welcome. What's happening? How are you?
Thank you. It's an honor to be here. I've been following you for years, so you don't know me, but I feel like I know you because I've been listening and learning from you. And I just think you're a voice in the profession that is steady Eddie. I love that. I love what you stand for, and you were amazing at the Kim 10 event. So we all thank you.
Well, I was saying right before we went into recording this, I was like one of the only dudes in the presence of all these amazing, powerful women. So that was really, really cool. So let's just go back a little bit, because I know you've had amazing success in the network marketing profession. Why don't you just kind of go back and how did you get started in network marketing? I know you built a huge organization. You and Bobby made a ton of money in network marketing, but I'm curious because I don't really. It's interesting. Like a lot of times people hear what is it? I can't remember who did this quote. It's escaping me right now. But everybody sees the glory, but they don't know the story. And they see people and their success and their accomplishments, but it's like, where'd you start? Like, how did you get introduced to the network marketing profession?
Yeah, I'll give the Cliff Notes version because it could get long, but I'll start at the way beginning. You started by saying I'm a mother of three. I became a mom at 16, had my first child at 16, my son at 19. I married my high school sweetheart, and by the time I was 21, I was divorced with two kids. I didn't know what the heck to do with my life. I thought I'll be a teacher. That'll be a great career for a mom, right? I'll be a teacher. So I went to
Yeah.
one semester of college. I was a very good student, very smart. I could do that, but after one semester, I was like doing the math. I was like, it's going to take me 5 years, and at the end of 5 years, I'm going to literally still be living at a poverty level. I don't want that. And so I always kind of had an affinity for all things glamour and beauty. So I went into the cosmetology profession. Took me 2 years to get my license because I worked full time. I was the only person in a school of a couple hundred people that worked full time, and or that worked at all. Most everybody just trade schools are like jobs that you don't get paid for. So I was like doing
Wow.
double jobs. I became a stylist and a makeup artist, and I built that business to 6 figures. I loved that business. It was so fun. However, I always knew it wasn't going to be my career because when I looked at women that have been doing that 10, 15, 20 years, that's not what I wanted in 10, 15, or 20 years. But it was an amazing career while I had it. I really think it actually set me up to do really well in network marketing because I got amazing at connecting with people and asking questions and communicating. And it was standing behind the chair that I actually heard about network marketing for the first time because everybody tries to recruit their hairdresser, right?
Oh
They know
yeah.
you have a captive audience all day and they think you'll be great. And all of the people that tried to prospect me they didn't say anything wrong, but anybody that I knew, anybody that sat in my chair, they weren't making a professional income. They were making like hobby money. So I kind of thought the whole profession of network marketing was like bored housewives that did something to make like extra money. That's what I thought about the whole profession. I didn't have a bad feeling about it. I just thought I'm already working 50 to 60 hours a week as a single mom. I don't need to work any more hours for $400 or $500 extra a month. That was not interesting to me. But I heard the stories, right? They were like, oh, well, my sister's cousin's friend's making, 15, 20, 30, 40 grand a month. And I was like, whatever, might as well have been a Disney story to me. It didn't mean anything to me. I met Bobby on a blind date in the year 2000, my husband, and he was the number 2 income earner in a network marketing company. And we've been together ever since. We've been together for 24 years. But that was the beginning of me actually seeing network marketing as a real viable profession where you could make professional income. And I didn't jump in right away. I worked really hard to build my career. So it wasn't until after we got married and had my 3rd child and his first that I felt this sense of like, my kids are growing up and they're going to move out and we will have never known each other. I had a middle school son, a freshman. My oldest daughter was a freshman in high school, and we had this little girl who was like 2 years old. And I just felt like time was passing before my eyes and something had to change. I desperately wanted to be able to still be a mom while I had the ability to be a mom to my older kids. So I jumped into network marketing with the blessing of Bobby. He wasn't at that time in network marketing, but I knew that he was amazing and that he could teach me. And I never really looked back. I fell in love with the profession. I replaced my 6-figure a year income as a stylist in 9 months, and I've been in the profession ever since. And we've done a variety of different things. Distributors, we owned a company, and we worked corporately, and we've always worked together. So we've worked together for 20 of our 24 years.
Yeah, that could be an interesting subject to get into as well.
Yes.
The whole idea of couples working together. That's actually a subject that's pretty close to my heart. I'm actually getting ready to do some stuff with Carla because we see so many couples that, especially when it's one person that's in the business and the other person is maybe supportive of the business, maybe not. And there's always that person in the business is probably growing. And then unfortunately, in a lot of
Yeah.
cases, they end up growing apart. In your case, fortunate to be working together and both growing at the same time. I'm curious, and I'm sure like my audience is like, so many people get involved in network marketing. Granted, look, I mean, you're super social, you're very outgoing, you have charisma, you have all these things, you have women in your chair. It's a very social business. My wife was a cosmetologist for quite a while. Or cosmetologist, excuse me, is a proper term. So, and she loved that, and she was, super social, talking to people all the time. And I'm sure pretty much every hairstylist, esthetician, whatever, they are getting recruited because you are the kind of the perfect personality to be involved in network marketing. What do you think like separated you from? I mean, 9 months you replace your income. I know people that have been in 3, 4, 5, 8, 10 years and have never got anything close to a full-time income. I mean, what were some of looking back, like what were the things that attributed to being able to have such success in such a short period of time?
Well, I had an incredible work ethic. I think being a young mom and being a young single mom, I only know survival. That's all I only know survival mode. And even as a stylist, I live in Southern California, and at the average income for a stylist at the time when I was doing hair was like $30,000 a year. And that I made, 120 to 130. So even as a stylist, I was just willing to work, I think, more. Like I said, I just said yes more than other people. I was willing to work uncomfortable hours. I always, as a stylist, I always saw it as a means to an end. So I had a goal in mind. Even when I was going to school, I was like, I need this many clients in my chair every week to be able to pay my rent. And then that was my first goal. Then I need this many more clients to be able to quit my other job so that I can do hair only. And I took that same work ethic into network marketing. All I ever needed, and still to this day, all I ever need is to know that it's actually possible. One of my favorite quotes: if it's possible in the world, it's possible for me. It's just a matter of how. And so I knew that it was possible to make really good money in network marketing because my own husband had done it. And I was a very good student. He'd say, well, you need to do this. Okay, I'll do that. And so when I was first starting off I'll never forget it. It's like burned into my memory. I enrolled 5 people immediately. I had done nothing. I had no success in network marketing, but I had such conviction when I taught, and I didn't know anything. Like I wasn't in personal development. I was just a eager hairdresser, eager to get home. I had a burning white hot reason that I was doing this. I wasn't doing it to help people. I wasn't doing to impact lives. I wanted to impact my life and my family's life. And I wanted to do it as quickly as possible because I had this desperate feeling in my gut that I needed to get home with my children. And so I adjusted my schedule and I was willing to work even harder than I was already working, knowing that there would come a period of time where where something was going to break. I was going to be able to quit the other job or something was going to break. So I think a willingness to go above and beyond for a period of time and make sacrifices. One of the things, this is going to sound like a joke, but it's not a joke. Like we were already busy. We had a freshman in high school, a middle schooler, a little girl that went to a toddler that went to daycare. Bobby went to a mortgage company every day, and I went to the salon. So I had no hobbies. I wasn't going to the gym. Like, what do you give up when you're just like you have no time? I gave up cleaning the house. Literally, I gave up cleaning the house. So I would only clean the front room and the front bathroom in case people came over. We sat our kids down and said, listen, life's already hard and busy, but it's going to get harder and busier for a time. But the goal is that at the end of that, mom's going to come home. So I think that the only thing that sets me apart from somebody that maybe has been around for a long time is I was willing um, to do whatever it took to work as many hours, to do it tired, to do it discouraged. I remember driving to somebody's house to do, because we only did in-homes then. We didn't have
Yeah.
technology. I could only like I couldn't do a meeting with somebody in the UK. You're talking about where you can drive, and people that you can meet up with. So I would do a lot of in-home meetings. And I remember driving to in-home meetings after I'd worked all day behind the chair, crying because I was tired, missed my family, fighting with my husband because I was so stressed. And then wipe the tears, get your mind right, and go in the house and do the thing. And I did that as hard as I could do until I was able to get rid of the other job.
Wow. Wow. It's interesting. I mean, obviously, like being a single mom for for the time period, like you have to hustle. It's like your back is up against the wall and you're like looking at your kids and they need to eat. And I think that, I mean, so you just have this bred into you work ethic that you're just going to get it done. And you did. And a lot of people come in and they dilly dally around. What I think I want you guys that are watching this, I want you to hear something. It's interesting how Michelle went and, she's in the chair and she's got all these women that are trying to, share whatever opportunities with her, whatever products, and they were all not really making it yet. You might be in the position that you're, a couple $100 a month or $1,000 a month, and none of those people could get her. And here she meets Bobby, and Bobby had made tons of money in network marketing. So she saw the proof, the evidence. So that doesn't mean you have to have the story in order to be successful, but that really hammers a point that I hit with you guys all the time, that utilize the experts and the leaders that have the story, that have the success. Because honestly, if I was a dude in your chair and I was making $1,000 a month or $500 a month, and you're like, I mean, I know you got a full-time job, Todd. I've been doing your hair for, I don't have any now. I used to sit in a chair and if it was me, I would have put my very successful person who already had the proof on the line. But so many people just skip over it and they don't even think about the importance of using third-party validation. I kind of think that if somebody would have, at least said, hey, look, I got a friend of mine that the person that enrolled me is making, a way more money than I am. Why don't we at least have a quick chat with him or her, and then you can be the judge after that. You might have actually gotten involved in network marketing earlier. Who knows?
100% I would have. 100% I would have done that because it wasn't, again, at that time, it was the amount of money that was possible for me that intrigued me. And I was even behind the chair when I was successful because I knew I wasn't doing it forever. I always had my ear open to another opportunity because people were making money in the world. There were other ways to do it. So I always had my ear open to opportunity, but not one of those people that sat behind my chair that prospected me ever talked to me or ever tried to introduce me to somebody that was actually making the money. They told the story, which is we tell people to tell the story, but for me, I needed to know it was real. It wasn't real to me until I actually met a person. So if somebody had done that, if somebody had brought somebody in with them to sit in the chair while I was doing their hair to tell me their story, 100% I would have gotten in sooner.
Wow. Yeah, that's a huge lesson. I had to kind of stop the interview process and make sure everybody got that, because that's just it's important. And now you guys understand. So utilize the experts. That if you're not making money yet, you don't have the story. I get it. I was at a point where I didn't have a story. I told the stories of other people, and I massively utilized the successful people that were in my organization. So I know you've been around the network marketing space for a long time. I want to kind of shift gears. Like, one of the things, like, when you called me, I don't know if you saw, I don't know, did you, like, I'm pretty confident were you at Faith Over Fear? Were you at that
No,
event, or did
I'm
you see
going to be
that
there
event?
this year, but I wasn't there last year.
Okay. Okay. So I get this phone call from her, and she's asking me to speak at this faith-based event. And, I'm a believer. I'm a Christian. And I have this feeling that there's, like, God is being pushed out of everything everywhere. It's kind of crazy. And I mean, it drives me nuts. I can go into a long tirade. We can go into a lot of stuff, but, like, the fact that you're focusing on the kingdom of God, I think, is such a beautiful thing, and focusing on women. At what point have you always been a Christian? When did you make that change? And then what made you move in this direction?
Yeah. Okay. So I'll take it in parts. Yes, I don't remember a time in my life where I wasn't a believer. Grew up in a Christian home. I never had this period where, like, I didn't believe in God. Doesn't mean I was listening, walking, or obeying, but I have always believed in God, been a believer, been a follower of Jesus. And no, I never talked about it in my business ever. Matter of fact, I had always believed and been taught and learned from mentors that, like, if you want to be successful, you don't talk politics and you don't talk religion, because you're limiting yourself and you're limiting your market and blah, blah, blah. So I never did. I never did. Although I think that as a believer, you have, like, I always say, we have, like, Christianese. There's, like, the specific things that only people that are part of the family of faith would recognize. So you kind of like, oh, I see you. I see you. But it was not part of the culture that Bobby and I built when we built teams. It wasn't part of anything that we did, like, from the front. But it was a big part in the background. My journey, like everybody else's, I believe that God takes you on this journey. You really go through hard things as an entrepreneur, as a human being on the planet, as a couple working together, growing a family. We went through a lot of things, and God was doing a mighty, crazy, amazing work in my life. And it was changing me as a leader. It was changing me as a wife, as a mother. But I was never really talking about it. So when I look back now, I can see so easily what God was doing, but I didn't realize it at the time. So in 2017, I kind of felt this nudge on my heart, like the Lord was saying, here you are, you're building this business, you're making great money, you're promoting products and promoting books and events, but you're not promoting me. You're not doing anything for me. And I wanted to be obedient, but I didn't want to mess up my life. So I don't want to mess anything up by changing anything really big. So that is the only reason I started the podcast. So I started this podcast in 2017, and I started talking about everything through the lens of faith, how to build a business, raising my family, marriage, relationships, leadership, everything through the lens of faith. And that, what ended up happening, Todd, was it was just me and a microphone. We weren't doing video podcasting then. I wasn't. It was just me and a microphone. And I felt more authentically me doing that than anything else that I was doing, because prior to that, it was like, there was the me that was involved at my church, involved in the women's groups. There was the me in my business and talking about business and making money. I felt very fragmented in who I was. And in each environment, I was not being fake, but I was only being a portion of who I really was created to be. But sitting behind the microphone, feeling like I wasn't like, if they don't like it, they don't have to listen, right? So I was able to fully be myself. And what happened over time was, anything that wasn't that started to feel out of alignment. So I felt fully aligned, fully myself, fully authentic in that environment behind the microphone. And I started to recognize things that weren't. So I wrote 2 books in 2018. They both got published in 2019. One of them is a network marketing book, got published in May of 2019. By August of 2019, I started to feel like I could no longer do what I was doing. We had built it was the biggest team I had ever built, the most money I'd ever made. And I told Bobby, I can't do this anymore. I I don't want to do this anymore. I felt out of alignment continuing to talk about how products change your life. I felt out of alignment because I became very aware of leaders that were manipulative and didn't have people's best interest in heart. And I was changing. Nothing else changed. I was changing. And so I knew God was calling me to something, but I didn't know what it was. And I was kind of mad. I'll be honest. I was like, why did you have me stay in this profession for, at that time, 16 years, write a book about network marketing, only to take me out of it like 4 months after I write this book? Like, I was kind of mad. What am I supposed to do? How are we supposed to make money? I had really wrapped up my identity and who I was as a network marketer, instead of just being, a daughter of Christ. So long story short, I didn't know what I was going to do, but was just open to whatever God wanted for me and began to pray and journal. At the end of 2019, I really felt pretty profound that God laid two things on my heart. Number one was there was about to be a massive shift in the church, the body, the kingdom, whatever. I didn't know what that meant at the time. That was the first thing. The second thing was we're at the beginning of the largest revival that the world had ever seen, and women were going to be that catalyst for that revival, specifically women in the marketplace. This is what I felt God laid on my heart. So those two things nudged me in a direction I was going to start this company that was going to be local meetups once a month with women of faith where we'd come together and grow. And I was excited about it. Maybe it would turn into chapters. I didn't know. But then COVID hit. It's like, okay, nobody's meeting anywhere. We're not even leaving California, I wasn't even allowed to walk. Like, we weren't even allowed to take walks here in California. So stupid. And so everything that I had invested already, I put into a digital model, turned into a membership, and a faith forward membership. And that was great, but it felt like something was missing. I was really missing a couple of things. I love helping people create wealth. I think it's part of the fabric of who God created me to be, to help people create wealth. Not because I love money, not because I worship money, but money in the hands of godly people changes the world, truly. So long story short, about a year and a half into that, I knew I either needed to stop doing that because it just didn't have any momentum. It didn't have a spark, or I just knew something was missing. And I felt in that moment that God was like, I'm going to give you back this thing of network marketing. And so prayed about it, talked with Bobby, talked with a lot of people that in the profession. Troy Dooley was one of them, because I wanted to make a good decision. Like, I don't want to just do this because this is my comfort zone. I loved network marketing. I want to do it because it's where I'm being called. And I said, God, if this is where you're calling us, then it has to look different, be different, feel different than anything that we've ever done before. And so it was where I'm at today and what we're doing today is not where I thought I was going. So that's kind of a long story of the evolution of really feeling like I wanted to be able to empower people to boldly be a person of faith in the marketplace. I don't think that our job was to only minister to people behind the four walls of a church. I think Christians left the room in education, in business, in politics, and it's why we've devolved to where we're at. And I think a lot of times people that have been forward with their faith, they've been manipulative, and none of that is what we were supposed to do. So we're just out here empowering people to step into their identity, become the leaders that they were supposed to be, growing together. You talked about that just in a marriage. It's important, so important in a marriage, but it's important as humans that we are growing together. And so that's kind of the evolution.
Wow, that's crazy. It for years, as long as I can remember, people are always talking about like keep religion and keep politics out of your network marketing business. You're going to alienate a percentage of your audience. I mean, I get that, right? I understand where that comes from. You don't want to, be like, I'm a Republican and no Democrats in my organization, or vice versa. And I understand that, but the people that I've seen that step into their true self, what happens is you end up, I mean, it's polarizing for sure,
Yeah.
but I think polarizing is so much better than being neutral, like in the middle and all vanilla and nobody kind of knows where you stand. And I love to see people of faith, like, stand up and talk about it and do it. And it's interesting, like with, belief in God in particular, like there's definitely, because I've been doing this for a long time, I see people get up on stage and thank God, which is great. I love it. Praise God. I wouldn't be here and all of that. But then I see people, and I think non-Christians will see individuals who throw out the Christian thing all the time, and then they see the way that they actually work
Yes.
and the way that they are. And I can think right now, of course, I'm not going to mention any names, but I can think of two different individuals who are all God and Jesus Christ and whatever all the time. But I mean, the stuff that they do is not even close to Christ-like. And people who are non-Christians see it and they're like, dude, uh, it's just weird. It's hard for people to. It's I mean, it's one thing if you're living the Christian life. And like, I've been a believer in God since I was in, I don't even know, probably elementary school. I was baptized the first time I was in elementary school, or probably like second grade. And then I volunteered as a second baptism when I was like a sophomore in high school, because I don't want to say it was a forced baptism when I was younger, but
Yeah.
it wasn't when I was like, when I really believed in God, that's when I volunteered and I, had myself baptized a second time. And, there's times when I'm walking the walk and not walking the walk, but I'm always, I mean, I believe in God. I am a Christian. We're all a work in progress.
Yes.
And I think it's just so beautiful when someone who is living, the Christian life, and then you're attracting all these amazing human beings because you're so focused on the kingdom, and everything that you're doing is honoring God. And I mean, I just think that, again, God has been pushed out of our schools. God has been pushed out of everything, everywhere. And and it's like, it's weird. I want to avoid being political here, but there's typically there's a group of people that are the pushers of that. And then there's another group that, love Christ, love God. You guys can read between the lines there, but I think you're doing great work. I'd like to, like, for you to share just kind of like what specifically, like, I thought when I came to your event in Los Angeles a few weeks ago and spoke, I thought it was so cool that you're taking these women and teaching them how to be these great presenters. And like, I think I was witness to seeing some of these women speak for the very first time in front of an audience, in front of a camera, on a stage, in their element. And I just think, what you're doing with bringing some of these speakers to the table and teaching, empowering women to have a voice, I think is amazing. I know that's part of what you do, but how did you move into that with the whole Kim 10 stuff that you're doing?
Yeah. Okay. So first I want to say one thing, because if I can name more than two people, same. They
Yeah.
from the front, and people that don't know them, especially if they're with a company that's big and they're an audience of thousands and tens of thousands of people think, wow, what a great Christian leader. But behind closed doors, that person is dirty and rotten, just like any other dirty, rotten person. Being a believer it's not about that. I'll be honest with you. It is literally about what you do behind closed doors and who you are to people all the time. And who I am and what we're really doing is incredibly inclusive. We have people from all different denominations. We have Mormons. We have people that aren't even sure about their faith. So when people come into the environment that we have, it's personal, professional leadership development, which everybody needs no matter what. But we're not beating people over the head with the Bible, because that doesn't work. That's religion, and we're not about that. But we are very much about teaching people how to actually like let their life be their example of who you are to other human beings in the world, even if you never mentioned the fact that you were a believer, because sometimes you're in conversations and that's not the natural thing to do. It's like prospecting. You're not just
Yeah.
out there hitting people over the head with your product if you're not like having a real natural conversation, and it comes up naturally in a conversation, then you talk about it. It's the same thing with being a believer, right? Like that's not what we're doing, but really learning how to love people, accept people, show people something that's different than what they're seeing in the world. That's what I really believe makes you stand out as a leader, as a network marketer, as a believer, is when, the world expects you to behave a certain way because everybody else is, and you do something different. You offer grace and kindness, and you're not offended when other people would be. So I just wanted to put that out there, because I even sometimes feel disconnected to the word saying I'm a Christian, because Christians have done just as much damage as everybody else in the world. So I am a follower of Jesus, a lover of Jesus and the word, but I am not a lover of religion per se. So I just wanted to say that, because
Yeah.
we get a bad name from some of these people, same as like bad network marketers give us a bad name. It's the same with Christians.
Oh yeah, I
Um,
mean the whole Bible thumping, the Bible thumping Christian, judgmental Christian. I mean
oh, can't stand
that's
it.
so crazy because that's are you a Bible thumper and you're pounding on it and you're judging me and it's just, I mean, God, no, yeah.
We're not that. I'm not that. I'm kind of, Jesus was a disruptor. I'm a disruptor. Jesus was rebellious against the religious machine. I'm the same. So I just wanted to say that. So because we offer so many, we have like certifications, a couple of them are accredited through ICF. And one of the things that we have some pretty amazing professional speakers within our environment who said it'd be great if we had a class to teach people about public speaking. So we put together this course and academy on public speaking. And as a result of that, one of the things is people always want to, now you know how to speak. Where are you going to speak? And of course, for many, many years, like the pinnacle of speaker is to say, oh, I'm going to do a TED Talk. I get to do a TED Talk. That's like this, like pinnacle of success as a speaker. But
Yeah.
you are not allowed to share a message of faith on a TED stage. Literally, like you're not allowed. So in my rebellious way, I said, then let's create a place for people of faith to have a stage. From the academy that we created and the idea of this stage, we crafted this thing called a kingdom impact message in 10 minutes, which is why we call it a Kim 10. So we like to say TED who? And so we created not only a framework to teach people the skill to be able to come up and have not just impact, but to be able to transcend just that message on the stage, but we also created a stage. And so you were at our inaugural event. We did the first one this year, and people are really excited about it. I'm sure they're going to pop up all over the place. So it's like connected to us, but indirectly, because my vision, and we didn't, you weren't at the whole event because you were traveling, but it wasn't an event that was a big commercial for my company. That wasn't the purpose. And I spoke to another guy who I couldn't afford to have him at the event, but I was talking to him about coming to the event. He said, well, what's your ask? I said, I don't have an ask. We didn't do the event with this big pitch at the end to like most events do. We did this because the vision is to create a platform that is used all over the world to allow people that have a message that includes their faith, or they are just people of faith, to have a stage that they can be proud to stand on. So we were so excited to have you at that first one. You were many, many people's favorite. And now our whole community is like, when can we have Todd back? Because you're awesome.
I appreciate that. What you're obviously you're working with some men, primarily women.
Yes.
My audience is primarily people that are distributors in the network marketing space, trying to figure it out. I mean, if they're plugging into me, they're looking for answers. Like, how do I make this work? I'm struggling. I don't know how to do it. I'm fearful. I mean, there's a lot of people that are struggling in the network marketing space. Yes, there's a lot of people that win and win big and all of that, and those people are striving to do that. And the reason I do what I do is because there are so many people that are just trying to figure out, how do I go about doing it. You've had amazing success in the field, ownership, all different levels. Like, I would just like for you to kind of share with the audience, like, these are hungry network marketers that want to figure this game out. What advice, what words of wisdom would you have for people that are in the game and trying to just better their family's future financially, and maybe they haven't done so yet?
Yeah, I love the profession of network marketing. I always have. I have thought from the philosophy of what it is. It is referral marketing. I built my entire business standing behind the chair with referrals. People liked what I did and they told other people about it. So I got the concept very, very quickly. And back in the day, we didn't have the technology, and it's really expanded your reach, and you have to kind of, I like to say, you either evolve with the profession or you're going to evaporate. And the profession has absolutely evolved since I got in it. And we're even watching things happen right now where the profession is evolving again slightly. When I got started, there was no influencer marketing, there was no there was none of that. And so it's tweaked and it's changed. But I would say if you're somebody that you believe in the concept and you have a dream in your heart to be successful in the network marketing profession for all that it offers, I think number one, you need to become a student of the profession. If you're listening to this, then you're getting like world-class training from Todd. And that, I mean, I applaud you for doing that. But you could listen to Todd all day, every day, and still not be successful. Because what most people do is they listen and they listen and they listen, and they don't ever take the step out to apply even one thing. Even one thing. And I've listened to a lot of Todd's trainings, and he gives you practical things that you could actually go do today. And what most people do is they listen, they take notes, they say, that was so good, I'm going to start tomorrow, and they never start. And the only way that you get good at anything is having the courage to go be bad first. I didn't start great. I started bad and I got better. My first time speaking and sharing presentations or prospecting people, I wasn't good, but I got better. You have to be willing to go out there and put yourself out there. And this is true for being on social media, going live online, saying hello to somebody. We have kind of there's a couple of things. I think we're the laziest society that's ever existed on the planet Earth, just as a whole. People in general are lazy. We want microwave food. We don't even want to go to the store anymore. We want somebody to go to the store for us and bring our food to our home. I lived in the day where if you wanted to change the channel, you had to get up, walk over to the TV, change it, and adjust the rabbit ears.
Yeah.
Right? Like, we live in a society that has gotten so comfortable in their laziness that you look at affiliate marketing, influencer marketing, attraction marketing, and you think this is going to be so easy to build this. So you go out and you post a couple things as a network marketer and wonder why attraction marketing isn't working for you when you are not somebody that is attractive to anybody else. You have to actually do the work. You have to become a person that people want to follow. Why did I follow you, Todd, for years? You were a person I wanted to follow. You had interesting things to say. You shared stories. You shared wins and losses. You're out there doing the things, speaking in front of companies, network marketing and not. You are out there doing the work. The reason that some people, I'll put myself in that category. There's certainly people that have made way more than me and Bobby in network marketing. There are people that have reached incredible levels of success. I'm very proud of what we've done, but it's still not, there's always somebody more successful. But I think the reason is we have just been willing to actually do work, to actually do the thing that you don't like in network marketing, which is make friends, be a person that people want to be friends with, like network marketing. Everybody does the marketing part and hardly anybody does the networking part. And if you are not a person that people like or want to be around, you're not going to be able to build a business, period. I'm amazed at people that are like nasty human beings and they're wondering why they're not successful in network marketing. So my tip would be work on yourself. Like, let the people in your immediate circle see something different about who you are as a person. If you've kind of been a negative or complaining person, watch what happens when you are not that. And you're a person that's offering encouragement. And you're a person that maybe is starting to see the glass half full instead of always complaining about how the world is going to crap. When you become a person that people want to be around, you won't be able to stop building a business because everyone will want what you have.
Yeah, no doubt. And also, with what you just said, these people that you're around, and let's say you've turned over a new leaf, or you're different now than you were yesterday. These people that have known you for years, don't expect them to flip the switch as quickly as you flip the switch and be bummed or angry because they don't see that. They might see something. But I've always known you, Todd, as the flaky dude that parties too much, and I have to pick up from, I don't know, off the sidewalk. Now that's not me. I'm just using that as an example. But and let's say you completely change, it's going to take time.
Yes.
And so exercising a degree of patience. That's something I teach all the time. People like you, I mean, you mentioned already, it's like microwave mentality, and it's like, oh, I'm going to go on the grocery store website and have the food delivered to me. I've actually never done that. I like to actually go grocery shopping and get out and see people and all of that. But yeah, it's just an interesting. It's interesting. Like, so you worked with you obviously worked. You weren't successful in network marketing just because of you. In any case, in any example, when somebody builds a large team, I always find it interesting when they get up there. I built a team of 65,000 people. I'm like, no, you didn't do that all on your own. It's because of you started the landslide of people who got people who got people and so on. So I always find it also great when somebody gets up there and they give credit where credit is due. It's like, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the thousands of people in my organization. And that's why we have 65,000 people on the team. But, I'm curious to know, like you and I both got to work, right? Like nobody had to get me to go to work. Like as soon as I signed up in network marketing, I was incredibly fearful. I was 22. I was scared. Like I was a scaredy cat, nervous kid, but I wanted what I thought network marketing could provide. I saw something that even as a young, naive 22-year-old looking at it for the first time, that it could do for me. And so I bit into that dream and I started to work the business. Now I failed pretty miserably the first 2 years. I made virtually nothing, but I did take action. And so I'm curious if there's anything that you do from a coaching perspective, whether it be currently with women and men that you work with, or that you did previously, to get these people into action. Because one of the things, in fact, I was just working on a sales page or a capture page right before we started recording this, and so many people join network marketing, but then they don't do anything. And it's like they want to have more money, they want to have a better life. They see the product or whatever that's being marketed, that there's value there and that they can get behind it, but then they sign up and then it's just total cricket. So now do you feel, I'm just curious, like, do you feel that you can take someone who is stagnant and fearful and get them moving? And if so, how do you go about doing that? Because you and I didn't really have that problem. I mean, you were a single mom and you had your back up against the wall, and it was like you had to make stuff work. I mean, there was no other choice. Like I said earlier, like not very few people are in that same position. And I think any person who is back up against the wall and it's like feast or famine, and
Yeah.
they look at their kids or even themselves, they're like, I'm going to get after it. I'm going to do whatever it takes. But I'm always curious, like, why somebody comes in here and they want it, but then they just don't do anything about it. I'm curious, like, what are your thoughts on why that is? And if you have any specific strategies on, getting people moving when they're saying that they want to, but then they're just sitting there doing nothing.
It's interesting, isn't it? And it's not just
Yeah.
our profession. It's in any profession where people they don't necessarily have like a boss that says, today, here's your list of things to do, and I'm going to check on you in 4 hours to see if you did them, which I think we've been conditioned to behave in that way. I think that's part of why people behave that way. You've been conditioned to behave in that way from the time, most people from elementary school. Like, here's what you're going to do today. Here's the list, and I'm going to check it off at the end of the day, and you're going to get a gold star. And so if you don't have, if that's the environment you've been in and you just aren't naturally a self-motivated person, then you will struggle in network marketing. But I have to say, like Bobby and I, we were never super enrollers. I've talked to people that have made so much money in the profession and they're like, oh yeah, we enrolled like, 700 people. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's not what we were great at. But what Bobby and I have always been very, very good at is developing people. So we enrolled less people, but we had high rate of rank advancements with the people that we enrolled. And here's a little, like, an impromptu thing that somebody in the last company that we built as distributors, there was a girl that did this impromptu poll with people when they reached the status of an accumulated $1 million in earnings. The company called you whatever company millionaires, but she asked every single person that while she was there and while I was with that company, how many people did you personally enroll from the time that you started to the time that you hit that goal of an accumulated $1 million in earnings? And the average Not the amount of time. I'm not going to tell you the average amount of time because it varied. Some people it was 7 years, some people it was 2 years, right? But the average amount of people that they enrolled was 300. That was the average amount of people that they had personally enrolled before they reached that title of accumulated millionaire. Bobby and I was 67.
Wow.
67 personally enrolled people, but we were amazing at developing people. And I
Uh,
think if I look at what is the difference is that, and I still teach this today. When somebody, first of all, I need to know as the enroller why somebody is doing something. I need to know it. I need to know what is the reason that you're doing it, because their reason why becomes mine. If you need, like, we're going to lose the car if I don't make this. I'm going to have to go back to work. Like, I need to know the reason that you actually spent money to sign up in a business. I need to know that. And a lot of times people don't know. They don't know how to identify it. So I work to help them define that. Number one. Number two, I ask them, what amount of money would help you this month? Like, what this month would make a difference? Those two things now become, that's my goal now. Like, what they want to do becomes my goal. And I know that they don't know what to do. So I work with people in their first 30 days. I handhold them to every day for the first 30 days to get them off knowing what to say, knowing what to do. And I think a lot of people think, well, they'll just, they got the email. Here's the steps. Watch this video. It'll tell you what to do. But most people don't have the habits to be self-motivated enough. So I would work alongside people, but I also didn't, I don't want to drag people. So to me, the first 30 days is very, very critical in them starting the business. And after that first 30 days, now I'm starting to separate to see, are they going to continue on with the actions and activities? And if they're not, then I cannot continue to drag them. But as a leader, I know that now I have connected with people on their team, and I'm going to go do the same thing with their team. So you never really even run out of people, because if you can help even one person to bring a couple people to the table, then now you have those people to work with. So I never ran out of people to work with. And out of, hundreds and thousands of people, you find a few people that are actually willing to take the training that you've got and then to take it and go teach it to other people. You don't have to be brilliant. You don't have to be a superstar. You have to be coachable. You have to be willing to listen to the people that are doing, and you have to have a good work ethic. And I think you have to have a why that motivates you beyond the days where you get 10 no's, or somebody cancels, people tell you you're an idiot. They say, I can't believe you're involved in that profession. You have to have a why that's big enough. And that was another thing that I want to say about when I first got started. I developed a thick skin as a young age because people judged me from the time I was 16. I looked young, and I was young, and I had these two little babies, one on each hand, and I got looks and judgment, and people talked about me, and it was a big deal in my high school. It was a big deal in my family that I was this teen mom and then a divorced mom, right? And so I developed a thick skin. I did not care what people thought of me. So when I started in network marketing and I had this very successful business doing hair, I mean, I was very successful as a hairdresser, and people were like, are you dumb? Why would you leave this profession that you worked so hard to build and you had this huge clientele? Didn't matter to me. I knew what I wanted for my life. And then the same thing even now, walking away from this 7-figure business that Bobby and I built to go do something faith-based. What, are you stupid? Are you crazy? Maybe, but I never cared what people said. I just do the thing that I know God's calling me to do, and I put blinders on because their opinion never paid my bills.
Wow, that's powerful. It's interesting. I was on this is a long time ago. This is probably 16, 17 years ago. I was on a stage, and I think they brought 10 of us up onto this platform. All of those individuals were, probably minimum 300 grand a year to multiple millions a year as independent distributors and companies. And they came across with like 3 different questions. First question was, how long have you been in? Second question was, how many have you personally enrolled? And the third question was 95% of your income comes from how many people? And, the years were minimum of like 4 years up to about 35. So nobody was in there for 6 months. So, so they had some tenure in their company. And you'd hear 85, 150. I think the biggest one, and I know, because I know what company you built. There was a guy from your company that had recruited I think it was over 400. It was like 430 some odd people, which was the biggest number out of all of the people on the stage. I think the average was somewhere around 150, if I recall. And the crazy thing is, everybody gets this wrong when I do this. Like 95% of your income comes from how many people, and they're like, oh, I don't know, 3, 4, 1. So it really only takes one good person that drives depth in an organization. And this is like a pretty good cross section, of people in different companies with varying experience. But, it's interesting how, and I haven't met, like, you have something special. I want the folks that are watching and listening to this to really realize this, because, like, as long as I've been in network marketing, which is a long time, and at the end of this year, I think it's going to be 36 years. So
You and
I know
Bobby, I think you're
it's,
in the same exact timeline.
it's so crazy, man. That's like 36, like, this is all I've done ever. Like, I've only been involved in network marketing, really. So, I have a friend of mine in Thailand who, he was, people talk about work for 4 years and then retire, right? Like, here, instead of work for 4 years and get rid of the 4-year career, turn it into a 4-year career. And he was sick of people saying that. So he literally worked for 4 years and then he tapped out. And I was with him and I was like, how many people have you sponsored? He goes, you're not going to believe it. And I'm like, what, like 300? He's like, 14. I'm like, bro, what? He's like, and he is like one of the top 20 earners in a $7 billion a year company. And I'm like, I got to know. And it's like, and then I have another friend who's a top, he's a number one income earner in a company. He's been there for probably 10 years. And he's only, when I talked to him like a couple of years ago, I go, how many, and he said the same thing, is I'm not a big recruiter. He's put in like 18, and he's the number one income earner in that company. So both in these two examples, I mean, you guys did like 60 some odd, still not some huge number,
No.
but like, I want you guys that are listening to just come to the realization. It's like, what are you doing after you sponsor that person in? I mean, or better phrases, after you recruited them in, sponsoring is the thing that happens after the transaction. And in all three of these examples, you guys just dug in and got involved with the individual and helped them to, get out of the gate, right? Because I mean, I different for me because I started in an office, which is so unusual. It's like, when I signed up in network marketing, we were doing these training centers where you're in a training center from like 8 a.m. till 8 o'clock at night, and so I'm around action and activity all day long. So I couldn't help but, be able to see what other people were doing and have, me begin to adopt some of those habits. Most people are in a home-based business, and the person enrolls them in the company, sends them to their fast start training guide, and report back to me next week or something like that. And it's like, dude, why not, come to the realization that this person just gave the company money, and more importantly than the money, they're about to give a portion of their life into it. I mean, the value of your time is more than the money. And you tapping into these individuals and hand-holding them. And it's like, some people are like, I don't want to be a hand-holder. Like, okay, then go sponsor 700 people and have 685 of them bail out because you didn't actually teach them how to do it. Like, a really totally weird example, but I moved into this house, and before we moved in, I already had a letter from the HOA complaining about my yard because they turned the sprinklers off. And so I'm like driving through my neighborhood as I'm moving in here, and green, brown. And so I go through the mail a few days after we moved in. I'm like, complaints about my yard. So I turn on the sprinkler system, and I'm like, oh, it's leaking everywhere. I'm like, no wonder the guy turned it off. So I find some guy to come over and change some sprinkler head, but I'm out there with him, and I was afraid to shove it. I'm not a gardener guy.
Yeah.
I'm afraid to put a shovel in there because I'm going to create more damage. And he's like, well, just watch. And he's in there digging around, and like, I'm literally standing and watching him dig this little hole. And he pulls the thing out, and he's like, oh yeah, see how it's on this flexible hose. He goes, you're not going to break anything. This is off a small hose off the main line. And he shows me how to do this sprinkler head. And I'm like, I still have never changed any of my broken sprinkler heads. I have guys that do that for me. But if I needed to, I could. And why? Because he literally worked with me or showed me how to do it. And so you had this huge level of success because you actively engaged and got working with the people, and I'm sure not all 65 or whatever you guys, whatever that number was, did it. And I'm
No,
sure there were people that said they did, and you were going to be available for them, but they, for whatever reason, they didn't show up. But you showed up and worked with the people that showed up, and that's why you guys had such huge success. And I just think there's a lot of people that don't get that.
it's the whole philosophy. Teach a man to fish.
Yeah.
It's the whole philosophy of teach. And I think there's another aspect, especially with the younger network marketers, the millennials, and then the older Gen Zers that are getting into network marketing. They want everything automated. I want to automate this. But you can't automate relationship. And network
No.
marketing is and always will be a relationship business. I genuinely care about every single person that got involved in our organization. I genuinely, like, it wasn't, yes, it's amazing to make money in network marketing. That is such a gift. I think if you actually don't care about people, it's different. And I know plenty of people that didn't give a rat's about the people in their organization, and they made a lot of money. So I'm not going to say that only the people that cared about their teams made money, because there's a lot of people that didn't care at all. But for me, that was the primary, like, thing that made the profession so amazing to me, was as you have kids, so I'm sure you will relate to this. Like, as great as it is for you to succeed at anything, when your kids accomplish anything, it is 10x any reward or any fulfillment that you ever felt for yourself. That's how it feels in network marketing. So as great as it is to earn the trips and make the money, when somebody that that started this business and you walked with them to learn something new, I like to believe more in people than they believe in themselves, and to see more in them than they see in themselves, and to help them to rise to become this person that I know that they were created to be. And when they accomplish things, oh, it is so unbelievably fulfilling and gratifying. And if you can do that with a couple of other people and teach them to go do the same thing, you literally will become wealthy in network marketing. You literally will have a business that outlives your effort. I mean, that is the truth. But most people just want this. I just want to automate it. I'm gonna build this funnel. I have this thing. When people sign up, it automatically emails them all these steps. I haven't seen that work.
No, not relying completely on that. And it's so funny you
Right.
say that, because, these, I mean, even, I mean, it's definitely millennials and whatever, Gen Z, I think I'm Gen X. I don't know what generation. What am
You're
I? I
X.
don't know.
Yes, you're Gen X.
Okay. So, we didn't have any of these technologies when
No.
we started. Like, we did daily briefings,
Yes.
like people come into the office, or you would do in-homes. And now I think it's great to utilize technology. And the thing that, like, for me, like, as a speaker and a trainer, I've, and you as well, coming from where you started, like, where we had no tech at all, and now we've got all this stuff available. Like, even
Yes.
this thing, we're like, you're down in California, I'm up in Oregon, and here we are, like, chatting with each other on streaming video. It's amazing. The challenge is, like, you can't ever forget that it is a relationship building business. I mean, network marketing, it is and always will be that.
Yep.
And you can use the tools, and you can use capture pages, and you can have a drip email system and all of that, and you can utilize social media. But, and I've been saying this since the beginning, like back even like pre-social media, when all these guys were coming out with these systems, marketing systems, where you just send out email and you're rich. And then they came to the realization, and they started calling me up. So funny, they're like, dude, can you come and speak at our event? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, what do you want me to talk about? Like, what to do with the leads when they come in? Because they were like, came to the realization that you can't just have a lead come in and they sign up and they're going to go build a business. So it's funny, like, I'm known as I don't know what they call me, the OG dude who comes in and talks about, like, hey, this is what, when a lead comes in from your marketing system, this is what you're going to say to them. This is how you're going to do it. This is what you're going to do once they get launched in the business. And you got to have that people element. And, it just, if we're talking like making affiliate sales or something like that, but building teams, totally different deal. I mean, you got to have
It's
the
a
human
totally
element in
different
there.
deal. And I think, like, people are the commodity. They're the most valuable thing you have. And as a network marketer, if you forget that, if you forget that piece, and you try to automate this whole business so that, um, I don't know, it's just, it's the worst part about it and the best part about it at the same time, right?
Oh, I mean, the best thing about network marketing are the people, and the worst thing are the people.
So
And
true.
It's just it's a fascinating profession. I can't see myself doing anything else. I mean, I'm doing some work in the anti-sex trafficking space because I got a friend that runs a company here. But I mean, it's just a great place for people to, even if they don't stay here forever. I have a lot of friends that, built decent or large businesses in network marketing and acquired all these skill sets. And then they took all the skill
Yeah.
sets that they acquired in this business and they applied it into what they were doing and they crushed it over there. So, going back to like you and what you guys are doing, like I'm just curious, like where can people find more information about what you're doing? I'm sure there's going to be a certain percentage of people that are like, hey, I want to find out. Like, I'm a believer. I love the vibe of what she's talking about, and I want to learn more about what she's doing. Where can they get your books? That would be cool if you provided that information for my audience. It'd be great.
Sure, they're both on Amazon. One's called The Residual Life, and the other one is called Redefined. And the other, it's so funny. I feel like I don't know if you feel like this, but I feel like I could rewrite my books once a year because I keep evolving. I keep changing and evolving. Um, so that's where you can find both of those books. They're on Amazon. I'm on all the social media platforms just with my name, Michelle Schaffer. The company actually so we started just women, but as we have evolved and we added men into the mix this year, the rebrand it's like an evolution of the brand. The website will be ourkingdomalliance.com. Yeah, we're excited. It's different for sure. First of all, I never had a virtual/digital product in my years in network marketing. All my products I always had physical products, so that's a whole new thing. But as we were putting the foundation of this company together, and we had a company, Bobby and I owned a company. We were co-founders. We had investors, and we had skincare and health and nutrition, and we were like, we'll never do that again. Actually, I thought I would never do this again, to be honest with you. But we, saw that the marketplace was changing, and if we were going to own a company that was going to be network marketing, we wanted to make it something that would withstand the shifts, the changes. We all saw the world got shut down, shipping issues, COVID, all the things. So we built this designed to be able to withstand the shifts and the changes. And even, like right now, you're seeing a couple of companies just in the last week, a really, really big company take their whole multi-level structure out and make it affiliate only. And we built into the compensation the ability for people to do just that if they don't want to build teams and still have a lot of benefits. So I feel like I don't take any credit for it. I feel like God literally gave us revelation as we were starting the company to be able to be a company that lasts. We have people that come here, their companies, they're just employees, they're not trying to build a business. Their companies pay for our trainings because it's skill development, personal professional development. We have a really wide demographic age wise. People in their late 20s all the way to we have some people in their late 70s, which is I think my favorite demographic, Todd, because we have had a handful of women in their 70s. We have a couple men, but a handful of women who've gone through some of our programs. And I will tell you, to watch them go from feeling like their life was over and they had no purpose left on earth to see that they have a purpose still and a mission to fulfill, and to watch life come back into their eyes. I love what we do. I wake up every day and it I feel very, very blessed to be able to do what we do.
Well, you guys are doing incredible work. And I think that, again, as I started this out today, like, God's being taken out of everything and you're bringing faith back into life and business and really helping people to, find their, I don't know, for lack of a better, find their mojo. I mean, it was so cool, like watching. I remember there's the two speakers that were before me. I think it was like at least one of them that was like her first time on stage, and I remember like she was so funny. Like like there was one speaker, I don't recall her name, but it was like I was sitting there. I'm like, my goodness, she is. If this is her first time on the platform, she's gonna crush it. Like she was so good. Like she just had this sense of humor. And, anytime you can lend a little sense of humor on stage, it's different than telling jokes. A lot of times people are like, when you're talking about humor, it's not telling a joke on stage. You're not a comedian. You're just layering in humor, which makes which makes the presentation far more entertaining for the viewer. But you guys are just doing great stuff, and I'm so happy to have you on and share you with my audience. And just want to say I really appreciate you and Bobby and what you guys are doing, and look forward to having you back again and doing some other great things together.
Thank you. And right back at you. Thank you for all that you have done for the profession for a really, really long time and continue to do. I see your videos up almost every day on all the platforms. I love it. And people that have been following you for a long time, they've been getting the goods. You don't need to go anywhere else. You've been getting the goods and I don't know, it makes me feel kind of old, yet slightly happy when I get called OG or like old school. I can't decide if it's an offensive thing or if it's a compliment. So I'm going to just assume it's a compliment that we're calling ourselves OG in the network marketing space. But thank you for having me on. I'm excited to have you. You're actually doing a training call for our company in August. So super excited about that. So is everybody else, and just appreciate you.
Likewise, likewise. Well, have an amazing day, guys. And Michelle, thank you again so much for being here. We will see you back on another episode. Coming back here every week, I'm dropping a new chunk of content. Sometimes it's just me, and sometimes it's a little surprise. So have a beautiful day, everybody. Thanks for being here.